How you doing, people? Robert here, AKA Robess, Anti-Corruption Scotland. I've been asked to do a video relating to certain topics. So I'm going to put this out here and see what people think, because there's still no thinking in the proper channel. The question I was asked by an individual relating to this video was, is there any ways that we can make simple remedy and build up to severe remedy? The answer to that is yes. But the main question is, does the people want a remedy? Because for what I'm seeing and what's happening on the streets, that's no remedy. That's just total chaos. That's achieving nothing. So, as the people are aware, there's an agenda coming down the lines, Agenda 2020 to 2030. Digital currency, digital ID, 15-minute cities, blah, blah, blah. Okay. This is done by corporations. Everything in the system is a corporation. It's a fiction, a legal entity that has no life. And this includes the United Kingdom. People think this is a country. It doesn't exist. It's a fiction in law, at law, right? Now, remedy. How can we get remedy? Is it hard to get remedy? No, it is no hard to get remedy, but it's hard to get people to think about remedy. Because everything, as I said in one of the videos previously, the deception of inconvenience or convenience, but it's inconvenience to the people because the agenda's coming their way, and once it hits in and kicks in, there's no turning back. So what could we start with? Firstly, people, when you go to the supermarkets such as Aldi, Tesco, Lidl, Asda, Sainsbury's, a lot of them now are starting to use digital ID, face recognition nonsense, right? Now, people think nothing of that. They just walk in there, not a care in the world, and don't think of the consequences that they're being profiled. It's the same as the self-scanners, right? They don't need self-scanners with your photographs. You're being profiled. I had a dispute with somebody last week about this. If you've got nothing to hide, there's nothing to worry about. It's not about nothing to hide, nothing to worry about. It's about they're stealing your property, your images, and your data, and selling it, because these companies are selling your data for money. Well, they're not actually selling the man or woman's data, they're selling the legal person's data. So, what's the best options to move forward and make life easier for yourselves? You can make life easier for yourselves, but it's a kind of hard decision for you to make, because a lot of people are happy with the things that's happening, which is no good for their people's interest. So let's see what we can do. How can we resolve this matter without too much hassle? Firstly, when people walk into, example, Aldi, I see a lot more people using the checkouts, which is good. That's brilliant, right? But for the people that's using the self-scanners with the screens with your face and your image on that scanner, you're being profiled. I've already had this. They wouldn't have you on a scanner saying it's a self-deterrent to stop people from shoplifting, right? They've got cameras in the shop, they've got barriers at the self-scan, and they've got barriers on the door, right? They've got security and cameras above you. So you're being fed a lie, as if everything else you've been told with this legal system, legal society, men and women represent it. Now, relating to the self-scanners, what I would say, I don't use them. And I know a lot of people that don't, a lot of people that I've explained things to have stopped using them. Boycott the scanners and use the checkouts. You can still pay with your card. You are swapping your messages from one shelf into another and then putting it in a bag, right? So you're actually doing their job, right? You're not getting paid for it. What I would suggest, right, is go to the checkouts, start reusing the checkouts, make them chock-a-block, right? Stop using the self-scanners. You can still use your card at the checkout, right? And you can pay cash. So what I would say for that instance is start using the checkouts again, people, right? Because then you're starting to cut bit by bit the agenda of the self-scanners, the digital recognition and being profiled. And that's for your benefit, not for their benefit, but they're benefiting, right? They're just going with the agenda. They put it across as convenience. It's no, it's a spy mechanism to spy on the people, what they're doing. We can see this when they're starting to search into people's bank accounts, looking to see what they're spending, want to see how many holidays are gone, and all the rest of it. That should be a warning sign. But for a lot of people, they're that thick as shit. They wouldn't know what a warning sign was if it jumped up and smacked them in the face, right? Secondly, cashless society. The card is a big part to play in that when you're paying at the checkouts or anywhere, self-scanners or anywhere else. Everybody wants a card, right? So it's important now for the people to change their mentality of thinking and start using cash. I know the card is convenient, but we cannot allow these tyrants, and that's what they are, criminals at the highest level, treasonous bastards, to get cashless society. Because if they get cashless society, face recognition, digital ID, 15-minute size, you have no life. And this is the bit you have to comprehend and understand. This isn't about the people. This isn't about their way of life. This is about the control mechanism, that they can control your life, tell you where to go, how to travel, and what to eat. Right? It's like China, social credit score. That's what they're trying to push. And if all this stuff comes in, that's it. They're in. They've got what they want. They've got you controlled, and they can penalise you. They give you points and they can take them away from you. They can tell you what you're going to eat and what you're not going to eat, how you're going to travel and how you're not going to travel. 2 examples. Now, relating to face recognition stores, and I mean all face recognition stores that get a sign. I seen a video, somebody sent me a video, right? I give respect to the guy for doing what he did, right? He walked into, I think it was Home Bargains, walked about for a wee while, then chinned the staff about subject access request about his data. He wanted a data request to get the images and his data in the store sent to him. That's all fine and dandy. He also said in the video that if we all do this, it's going to cause them a sore head. Okay, so let me cover this point. Firstly, you might cause them a sore head, but it's not going to stop it. They're going to keep doing it because that's the agenda. That's the platform they're pushing for, right? Why would you want to ask for information, right? Firstly, the thing that I did notice at the end of his request, he forgot to ask the staff and tell them that he wanted the data that they had for that day removed, a key solution, but he never asked for that, which I find strange. If you're going in to do something, don't do it half-baked. Get in and ask for the full Monty, right? I'm not criticising the guy, but if you're going to do something, do it right, or don't do it at all. Secondly, they asked him for an email address and also asked him for photo ID to prove who he was. Right, I find this quite funny. It shows you how indoctrinated people are. They don't even know. When you produce any photo ID, you're giving joinder to them because you then have went into the status of person, the entity. You're not the man, right? Why would they need photo ID when he's already on camera? How dumb is that, people? Why did they not ask them, why do you need ID? I'm standing on camera just now so you know who I am and what I am, right? This is how they steal your consent and trick you, right? This is the legal terminology and the legal fraud that they use against the people, but people still don't get it. So what I would suggest, right, instead of giving all this grief about getting into stores with fake recognition, firstly there's a sign on the door, right? You have a choice. If you see that sign telling there's face recognition, why are you getting in there in the first place if you're going to make a subject access request, right? If you want proper remedy, boycott the store, right? If you want to keep cash, use the checkouts and use money. Now the banks are starting to clamp down on people putting money into their accounts and taking money out of their accounts. They're controlling everything. This is the agenda. This is what they're pushing for, right? A bank can't tell you what to do because it's a dead legal fiction. It's dead speak, it has no life. Only the men and a woman in that corporation can tell you what to do, or ask, or request. That money in the bank, for starters, is your property. And only a man or a woman can put a deposit or take a withdrawal at the bank. A person cannot do it. But the problem we still have is most people think they're a person because they're as thick as shit. And that's a fact. That's me being polite. It makes my blood boil with the amount of people out there, including myself, it's been 100% information and you still don't get it. You still don't want to do what you've got to do to make change. Now, I don't know if people, I'm just kind of, somebody asked me the other day as well, Rob, why are you not putting so many videos up? And I says, because I'm now at the end of my tether. Over 14 years doing this, and I feel I've wasted my time. Right? The other thing as well, I'm watching things, right? I'm just telling you how it is, how I see it, right? Watching things in the street, including Glasgow, standing, waving flags, shouting about immigration and all the rest of it. Well, the question I have to ask, and the question people have to realise about, is that was no purpose served. And the reason there's no purpose served, what has it changed? Nanty. You've not stopped immigration, that's a definite. You've not stopped the deprivation and poverty, and you're certainly not protected your sons and daughters because you're standing in the street talking a load of nonsense and shouting a load of nonsense, right? That achieves nothing. A controversy is what it achieves, and a controversy is what gets you into trouble and gets you into jail, right? And the thing I noticed about Buchanan Street is the police were on top of the stairs, so therefore that tells me it was controlled by the police because nobody could go on the stairs because they didn't want them up there because that gives an advantage over the other numpties shouting down at the other end. That's why the police was on the stairs, so you couldn't get in there. Because as if you watched, there wasn't too many people coming up and down the stairs for the shop, right? That was just a control mechanism to keep you under control. They're standing on a low footing. The only way forward, there's a couple of ways forward, but I don't think people want remedy. They're just happy to go out and cause chaos, cause fun, shout abuse, right, and achieve nothing. That's what I think, that's what I see. And that's my heart, my hand on my heart. That's what I see. You're achieving nothing and you're doing nothing. I noticed in Glasgow the STV was out with their cameras and all the rest of it. And the terminology far right came up again. That's illegal terminology, people. People have got a view or an opinion. That's their property. It doesn't make them racist, far right or anything else. That's their view and they have the right to that view. Freedom of expression and freedom of opinion. Right? And as I said, the human rights, people shout about their human rights have been breached. That belongs to the person. The legal system, legal society created that. And they determine if your rights have been breached as a person, not a man or a woman, because you can't deal with a man or a woman. And I've proved that numerous times. So what I would say is, if you're going to want remedy, instead of shouting in the street, waving your wee flags, right, think it's a great time because there's a crowd of people making a lot of noise, think again. You have to address the men and women acting capacity as politicians, councillors, MPs and MSPs and put them on notice and tell them that you're not going to comply, you're not accepting, you don't consent. And one of the things you can tell them you don't consent to is the public money being used for people that have no lawful right to be in this country because the legal system, legal society determined they're coming from a war-torn country. Most of these people are coming from France, so they're in a safe haven. They don't need to come here, right? Your governments are all complicit in this. They're doing this deliberately to bring people into this country to destroy the country's sovereignty, destroy the wages, and cut down the wages, right? The entity known as Westminster government, Scottish government are up to their eyes in debt. Stammer and every man and woman in that parliament down in Westminster are borrowing billions every month. And you're getting the bill for it with unlawful taxes. Why are you agreeing to pay their national debt? We, the people, owe no national debt. and that's a fact. They're corporations. He who creates owns. It's like a woman when she falls pregnant and creates life, a boy or a girl. She's the God that created it. That's her property. She's the creator, right? So if you create a debt, whoever creates the debt owes the debt. They've got an obligation to pay the debt. So the politicians in every parliament in the non-existent United Kingdom owe the debt, not the people. The reason there's a national debt is because these people are fleecing the people for money, robbing the people of their equity, trying to steal their homes and destroy families. That's what they're doing. And the sooner people realise that, the sooner we can do something about it. But again, I don't think people want remedy because they're taking it. And everything they do, they're doing wrong. It's diabolical, people. Use people have to wake up, smell of coffee. Now, they're talking about bringing in digital ID, digital driving licences. Everybody in the 4 jurisdictions, the landmass of England, Wales, Ireland and Scotland, have to remove consent and do not accept. If everybody refuses to accept it, they can't enforce it because they're operating in the status as person, right? We're no persons, we're men and women. And examples would be if you cut yourself, you feel pain, you see blood, you're breathing, you can hear, you can see, you can stand, you can pick up, you can touch, you're living. I've never yet met any man or woman that had showed or met their person, because it does not exist. The person's, the driving license, passport, just an image, a name on a document. As person only exists in paper, people. Entity, independent existence, that's the person attached to the man or woman to hold them surety and liable for everything. As I say, everything I tell you in the visuals, people, I'm prepared to stand and argue with anybody in the legal system, legal society, and I'll verify under charge of perjury in the landmass of Scotland, England, Ireland or Wales, Court of Session, Supreme Court or beyond. And again, I don't see anybody putting their hand up to that claim in the internet anywhere. Because I can back up what I say 1,000,000%, right? And everything I tell you in these videos is true and accurate. So what I would say to finish the video off, stop using self-scanners. Stay away from them. They're not for your benefit. You're being spied and profiled, right? Secondly, use, as far as I'm concerned, use checkouts. You can still pay with a card, right? But what I would suggest is now starts using money to keep the money in circulation. Force them to take your money, right? Don't keep using cards because that's part of the agenda. That's the lie we sold to the people. The illusion of convenience. Okay, it is convenient, but it's no good for what's happening in this point in time, the agenda, and what's about to come our direction. Stop walking into stores asking for subject access requests for your information and your face recognition, right? Easy way to deal with that is if you see a sign outside the door telling you to get face recognition, boycott it. Because if everybody was to boycott these stores, stop using the self-scanners, start using cash, change would happen. That's only 3 minor things I'm talking about, right? It's a numbers game and everybody has to come together, men and women, across the landmass of Scotland, England, Ireland and Wales, right? They have to stand up and be counted. And if you want your rights to keep them, you have to fight for them. Because if you don't fight for your rights, you will not have any rights. And this standing protesting is a waste of time. You have to hit the root of the problem. And that is men and women acting as councillors, MPs, MSPs, right? In the Scottish Parliament and every other parliament, and tell them that you're not going to comply, you don't consent, and tell them that if they don't change their ways, they're going to have to step in, right? That's how you get round about this. But again, nobody listens to me, I just talk shit. I've only been doing it 14 years, had my door kicked in, locked up numerous times, family destroyed, but I don't know nothing, I'm just stick as shit. So anyway, that's the way I see myself. Anyway, people, please share this information far and wide. I hope the information resonates with people, and I hope it makes sense, because that's the only way forward. You want to change the system, you have to make change. And the change is down to the people, because only the people can make change. Please share this video far and wide. Thank you for letting me be heard. Thank you for watching the video. And for the people that sharing it, thanks for taking time to share it. Sorry I've not been on, but I'm kind of losing interest in people, to tell you the truth. I'm really losing interest, losing heart, because I see what's going on out there, and there's no remedy. All it is chaos. Anyway, you people have a good day. Take care, be safe, and I'll speak soon. Bye bye.